Do you want to start?
Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about dropping out of college and the decision to make that, the anxieties that come with that, what makes someone think that way, or like what the benefits could be or cons.
And we have a special guest here, August.
Hello, what's good?
August, what's your last name?
So my name is August Reed. I went to Parsons School of Design with Ricardo.
And so we knew each other because we were in the same dorm building, right?
Yeah, we were on the same floor.
Yeah, it's funny because we always saw each other, but we never actually
Yeah.
conversated much.
Oh wait,
We
like
just-
class semester?
Yeah.
Oh no
First
way.
semester, second semester of first
For
year.
you, first semester for me, second
Okay,
semester for you.
Yeah. I wasn't really gonna go out of my way. I didn't really speak to people that much, like in the first half. But it's good we here now.
Well, so
Yeah,
we-
so the reason why I wanted to do an episode like this is because I left my dream school, Parsons School of Design, and there was a lot of thought put into leaving, and I still don't regret my decision, but there is still that fear that in like 10 years from now, I'm going to regret that I never went to Like I didn't actually go.
Seriously?
I mean, maybe like I'm a little scared that in 10 years I might have that regret, but right now I don't. But you know, but it's like you can always go whenever, but like people say that, but like are you going to go back when you're like 40?
no,
No. So
that's what I'm saying.
So I want to ask, because you both, whether you're like still going, you're still enrolled or whatever, you both go to Parsons. So why did you choose Parsons?
Not gonna lie, my dream school was NYU, and I applied to the new school as a backup, and I wrote my application essay in 10 minutes before the deadline, and I got in. So there's and I was like, oh, you know what? Because I still wanted to be in New York City. Honestly, that's what I mostly cared about.
Yeah.
So whether it was NYU or new school, like I was kind of indifferent, but I knew like even if I did get into the new school, I still want to transfer to NYU, which is currently what I'm working on. But like I'm so glad that I got in anyway, because like I didn't realize how much I like the school, and especially all the facilities that I can use is just so clutch, because like I like to create a lot of different kind of mediums, and so they have like they're an art school, so they have everything like ready for me to use. But yeah, that's my reasoning.
Yeah, I just knew that I had to be in New York, and I did a 2-week summer intensive at School of Visual Arts, SVA. And that was cool, but I felt like I couldn't really see myself going to that school. And I knew that NYU was just like too much like work for me. I just like, it's NYU, like that's a lot. And I had family that went to Parsons, so I had a good recommendation, and I had heard good things. So I just applied there and got in, and that was it. Like,
Wow.
I didn't even apply anywhere else, to be honest. I just kind of took that risk, and I was like, if I don't get in,
You
I'm
know
gonna
what's
figure it out.
Damn.
What's funny is I applied to like 5 other schools. Sorry. I applied to like 5 other schools, and all the schools that I applied to had an issue with my application. So I actually wasn't even considered. So Parsons was like the school I actually wanted to go to, and so Parsons was the only school I basically got into, which is insane. Like imagine if I didn't get into Parsons, I would have been like kind of screwed. Like all my backup schools like failed. Like they didn't reject me. It was like I didn't submit all of my transcripts apparently. So yeah, like that would have been insane. But
I can't. Yeah. Also, I don't know how you like just applied to Parsons. Like, I don't know, like my anxiety. Like, I could never. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, just one school. Like, anyway, I don't know. That's crazy for me. But I think that's just because like my family, or just generally like traditionally where I'm from, like college is. I mean, I guess in a lot of places too. Like, you won't get a job without college or a degree. And so that's why they put so much emphasis on it. So like even if I had a career like blowing up midway of college, like my mom would be like, no way, like you're staying in college, which I understand because you need a degree to fall back on in a sense. But also that's questionable these days, where like a lot of young people are taking on a career like not with ease, but like if you work hard enough and you like get popularized for your work, it's not impossible to I guess make a career for yourself at a young age. But still, like, that's why I don't know, I applied to like many schools just because like my mom and my family wanted to assure me that I was gonna get a degree.
So like the devil's advocate would respond to that as like, but what makes you think you can't build your career after school, right? Because that's like the traditional thing. So like, why wouldn't you just do that?
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a fair question. That's just not how, like, I don't know, my family thought or things. So
Well, so my response to that would be like, I would rather like not be in college debt. Like I just don't want that. Because it wasn't like a matter of could I afford Parsons or not. It's like, do I even want to pay that? Because, and that's where I feel like I might regret it, because it's like I don't know, and I'll probably never know the true value of going to like a university like that. And that's the scary part, that I'll never know.
yeah.
Because even like the semester I went, I only did the online. So I actually don't even know what the school is like. I don't even know what it looks like inside. So I just want to hear about like, what are you guys' goals? Like career goals.
You want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. So I have kind of broad goals, but I really want I feel like I have a vision that I'm still figuring out, like just an overall like visual arts, like specific vibe that I'm creating that hasn't existed before. And I really want my vision and my style of photography to be very widely recognized and instantly known that like, oh, that's August.
Yeah.
Like that's his work. Like that's really one of my biggest goals, is to have anyone be able to see my work and be able to identify it back to me. Another one of my goals that I'm slowly working towards is I'm trying to do things more than just photography, because I feel like I've been doing so much. I have so many photos and I have so many videos. It's like I'm really trying to create just something new that hasn't even existed before. I don't even know what it is yet, but I'm surrounded by artists every day and they inspire me, so I'm gonna just see what comes up.
Yeah, I really feel like that, like having such a unique creation that like people immediately know it's you. Like that's the goal. I mean, like to make something so significant, or like not just significant, but that just hits, is so like provoking that like people like know it's you. And I don't, like, I'm kind of on that same wave that I like also really want to create something that hasn't really been done before. I also take a lot of pictures. Video not so much. I want to expand more in my video stuff. I used to, but like recently not at all. And so my goal is also to just be widely recognized for my work, and also not just in that sense, but in a lot of senses that I haven't really like given enough time for photography. I think I've been at for the longest, like for many years, but not like my music stuff, for example, or stuff like that. Like there's just many things I like to get at, and that's usually kind of counterproductive for me, because you can't do everything. Obviously you can't like be, I mean, there's a lot of examples of artists which you always bring up, like Tyler the creator and Pharrell, and all of them like can work at so many mediums and do it so well, but like that they monetized one, which is their music, and then did so well off that. But like I think that's my goal, is that I want to monetize one of my skills that I do so well at, and then expand and show off what other things I have to give.
Right.
But yeah.
I feel like at the end of the day, it's really just about creating value. Like there has to be value in your work, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Has to be important. And like for me especially, I don't want to like sidetrack too much into this because it's not so important, but for me especially, like as an Arab, like representing stuff from the Arab world, and like especially political ideals that are really like important, for me that's something I don't think I do well at right now, but in my work with time, like as I get better at my craft and as I get better at knowing what political ideals I stand with and like how to portray that with proper knowledge, and not just like talk off my ass and like just making art that looks cool for that, but like having an actual message, I feel like that's super important, because low-key I feel like I have some kind of humanitarian side in me. Like I kind of want to I don't know, also like art, so I want to combine those two at some point. But I definitely believe your art should always like have a purpose in a sense. Maybe not, but
Yeah.
it's cool when it does.
I always feel like I've been told a lot that I'm always trying to monetize everything that I do. And
Really?
yeah, I mean, I've been told by like some family members. I'm not gonna call people out, but I've been told by family members like they're saying it like it's a bad thing, and I can understand why it seems like a bad thing, but the reason why I try to do that is because whenever you leave college, and by the way, I didn't leave college on purpose. I left it basically on accident. I didn't send in my stuff in time, and I left Parsons and I was trying to apply to the CUNY schools, but it was just too quick of a. I was trying to transition way too quick. Like it takes months for them to process your application. They're just like a normal college. It takes time, and I did it too late.
Yeah.
So I have this semester off, and now I'm considering just not going back and just seeing what'll happen in 1 year, what I could accomplish in 1 year, and then seeing then should I even return to college, because maybe I have something, maybe I don't. If I don't, I'll go back to college. If I do, I might just not go to college. So the reason why I try to monetize stuff that I do is that it almost feels like in order to legitimize or try to like explain why what you're doing is valuable to like family members and friends is by showing that you can make money off of it. And that's like the sad reality, right? Because you could have the coolest shit, but if you can't like show them that it made any money, like sometimes it's kind of like stay in school, right? So that is my frustration, because it's like I have to prove that not only I have potential as an artist, or like I can grow and I can do this and that. I also have to prove that like I can sustain myself, and that is a really hard thing to do. And that is why it's like it's frustrating when people are always telling me like, you know, you don't always have to like be so capitalist and like try to monetize everything you do. It's like you don't understand. Like I kind of have to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Has
It's
to
not
think
because I
about it.
want to. Like you think I'm trying to get that money to like buy new shoes and stuff. It's like, yeah, maybe a little bit. That's like the last thing on my list,
Yeah.
though. That's the
Yeah.
last thing on my list.
Yeah.
That is not why I try to monetize stuff at all. There's priorities that like sometimes it's not even because I need the money. It's to show that I can make the money, and it's just so frustrating. I mean, I don't know if I'm making sense, but like it's like yeah. So I hate being like asked that, but I guess it's a reasonable question. But it's just like
It's like, what do you expect? Kind
yeah,
of.
what do you expect? Like,
Yeah.
what do you yeah.
And it's like, because you won't settle for a job you hate just to be financially stable. And there's something admirable about that. Yeah, and I feel like also maybe your family's kind of traditional like mine, and that's why you get asked that question. But the thing is, even with my family, like they want me to like my job, but they also think I could go to college and do that as well, which I understand is totally doable. But like I think they might not understand like how fast paced and how like quickly things can get monetized these days, especially with this generation, and how much we can monetize our stuff, or I don't know how like I don't know what the word is, but efficiently like we can make money off the things we create. Like it's surprisingly, it's not easy, but like it's not easy, but like it's so doable. It's definitely doable if you like
All the
work hard
tools
at
are
it.
here.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like they like might not understand that yet, just because they didn't grow up that way, obviously. So it's different for them, but definitely doable, with the right amount of time and effort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's complicated. I don't think my family is that traditional. I think like my immediate family is definitely not traditional, because my parents did not really have a traditional life at all. But I think like aunts, uncles who are kind of in that traditional culture and stuff, like they just don't get it. So it's a little complicated to try to explain, like, because a lot of them didn't even. My sister is going to be the first one to graduate in like almost the entire family. So it just, for them, it's so odd that I have the ability to graduate, and I'm questioning even like getting a degree.
Yeah, it's
For them,
foreign to
it's like, you have the privilege of doing so. Why don't you just do it? But yeah, it's like you, because there are other things you have to think about. Like, let's say you graduate, now you have a degree, but you're 200 something K in debt. You might get a job, you might not. If you do, you probably will, right? In like a year's time or 6 months, hopefully that's like best case scenario. You get a job, and I'm scared that if that happens, you start getting comfortable, right? Because then you have no reason to leave that job. Why would you say no to that job, right? People are gonna think you're insane for saying no to that job. You're gonna stay at that job, whatever it is. If you're a paid intern or you're like a junior, whatever, at a company, you might just get comfortable and you might just like stay there.
Yeah.
And to me, that just sounds so unattractive. So I don't know. I mean, what are you guys' thoughts? Like,
I think it's really easy to become comfortable. Like that's something that I struggle with. Like especially on my artistic side. Like I'll do a bunch of work, I'll take a bunch of pictures, I'll create a bunch of videos, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm comfortable doing this. But it's like really time to like step onto the next thing.
yeah,
And like from a creative aspect, like it's completely different. Like the job market, like if you're speaking about like getting a job, going and getting a job, like there's ways that you can like do that without school at all. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of places only need a high school degree. But like I feel like on the creative side, you can't just apply for a job in your field. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit more difficult than that.
Yeah.
right, exactly. And like even the freelance economy is like growing insanely, and some people are saying that's a bad thing because it's like,
Competition crazy.
well, no, it's because people aren't setting up retirement funds. Because when you work at a job, a lot of them, like if it's a good job, they'll set up like a 401k for you. They'll set up a retirement plan. But people, when they get freelance money, like let's say you get paid a 4K for a music video, right? Most people are not going to put that into a retirement fund. They're not going to make that effort. So, and also most employers will like match what the money that you put into your savings. So let's say you put $500 a month into your savings. A lot of employers will match that, so they'll give you $500 as well. So the problem with freelance work is that like you just get the money and that's it.
It's freelance. It's up to you.
It's freelance. You're right. You can choose your price, but that's a whole other thing. That's like depending on what art form you're doing and like what your reputation is. But it's all possible.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that instantly makes it more difficult. Like just in general, being creative, like you don't have, you know, that job structure where it's like, okay, we're gonna give you a pay stub and this is what we're gonna do and da 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 da. It's like if you're doing freelance and you're getting paid in cash, it's like you have to allocate that money on yourself.
Exactly. And most people don't have the financial literacy or financial like
'Cause
responsibility.
we're not taught that in high school. Anyway.
Exactly. It's a whole thing. It's like they don't teach us how to take care of our money, and then they like shame us for not knowing how to use our money once we're in college. And it's like they give us all these. That's the other thing. They give you loans to these 18-year-olds who don't know anything about money.
It's a setup.
Thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
It's all set up. But so why did you leave Parsons temporarily?
So I felt like my first week when I was there, I was just paying extra close attention to what was going on in school and what was going on out of school. So what I seen in school was that it was the first time being in person since Corona. It wasn't really like, all my teachers were telling me, oh, get ready for kind of a weird semester. Oh, get ready for this and that. You know, we're not on track yet. So that was my first red flag. I was like, I don't really want to spend this time in school if it's not even going to be a genuine experience, like the full experience. Outside of school, like I was having trouble getting to class because I had photo shoots, I had video shoots, I was linking with different artists, and I felt like I was seeing so much potential that I had, and I just kept noticing this pattern where I would make a choice between going to class and taking some pictures, which I already do all the time. or going and doing something else that's like for my portfolio or for my artistic benefit. So I was like, honestly, I'm not gonna keep going through the year doing this back and forth thing.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take a year off. I'm just gonna see what I can do, and then I'll probably go back. I think I'll go back. I want to go back, but we'll just have to see. You know, I don't even really know. But for the most part, my decision to leave was based around like, it just didn't seem like the right time to be in college. You know, I gotta let them get their shit together, and then I'm gonna get my shit together, and then I'm gonna reevaluate in a few months.
And that's smart.
Yeah, that is a smart decision, especially when you're at that point of like class or like my own shit, which like, yeah.
Eventually, I'll
point-
have to balance that.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
at this time, it just felt like since school was so still getting back on its feet, I knew what the choice was, which was not school at the moment.
Damn.
Well, yeah, I kind of had like a similar. I just can't like. I've just never been a classroom person, and I honestly like don't know if that's like, if it's me just like not wanting to put effort into school. Like I don't know if that's a bad thing, or if that's just how I am. Because I know that there are other people that relate to me, where they just can't learn that way, at least like about like creative skills and stuff. Because I think there are some things that you can't really teach yourself if you're being honest. Like at a certain point, you do have to go on YouTube and like look up tutorials on how to do things. But when it comes to like creating your own style, creating your own like envisioning like what your art, like what you were saying earlier, like why people should even look at your art, why they should experience it, like what value is it giving them. That I feel like you just have to learn from doing what you do.
Yeah, that comes from within.
You just got to do it, and I can see why. I can see that like. I can see how college can help with that, right? Because they push you, they tell you to do this and that. But to me, it's like I'm gonna do it regardless, if a professor tells me to or not to, like, because it's just something that I've always done and it's something that I enjoy. So for me, it just felt unnecessary for me. But I just don't like. I don't even know if like no one actually knows like if their decision is the correct decision. Like I still don't know. I just know I don't regret my decision, but I just don't know if I should just suck it up and just like go to class.
That's
But I just get so unhappy being in class. It limits my ambition so much. I get so like sucked into what they tell me is like what you got to do. Like you can't go too crazy because you only have 1 week to do it. You know what I mean? But in the real world, I mean, if you're shooting a music video, I mean, I'm sure you know, right? Like it takes weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, do you wanna?
I'm just going on a rant. I don't know.
Go ahead.
But I feel like if school makes you feel that way, if you don't feel good in the classroom, you shouldn't be in the classroom.
I guess, but
If
it's
you
like
really
I guess,
like
but
being in that environment. It's like
I feel
school
like-
is really not for everyone.
Yeah. And if it really crushes your like ambition like that, or not ambition, but like it just like crushes your, I don't know.
it makes me hate what I do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it does that, then no. Because if you want to eventually succeed in that thing as a career, then that doesn't make any sense. It makes no logical sense. Why would you do something that makes you hate it? Like, no. Something you love, don't ruin it.
Yeah. So my brother's a jewelry designer. This is exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
And he went to school originally for jewelry, right? And being in class and like being given jewelry assignments and like it just made it feel like work to him. You know, like, oh, I have to do this homework, I have to do this assignment, instead of just like working on his own thing, his own project. So he just switched his major and he did that on the side. He did his own thing. So it's definitely valid that being in school and studying what you love outside of school, it can like corrupt it for you almost, especially if it's being taught in like a very rigid way.
And I'm sure your brother now really likes what he does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's crazy because he didn't even like complete his degree in jewelry, but he didn't need to.
Yeah.
You know, some people might need to, but he knew what felt right for him. And if he wasn't feeling good in the class, so he was like, nah, I can't, because it's making it feel too much like work.
Mm.
And then it's making it difficult to do it on his own because he's spending too much time doing it for school. It's complicated.
Do you think that like, but the complicated part is like that sounds amazing, and that's what I'm like hoping for myself. But then there are like those days where I just feel like, am I betting too much? Because like it does require a lot of luck, and it does require a lot of. But the other thing that like keeps me like motivated and stuff is like knowing that if you truly like work as hard as you can on each thing that you make, like eventually you're gonna start to create your own style and create your own like voice. And what I'm trying to say is like you eventually will get good at what you do if you really work hard at something like over and over every single day.
Absolutely.
You're going to get better. Like that's just how
it's what everyone says.
It's logic.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works.
So one of those days, whether it takes a year or 5 years or 10 years, one day you're going to have a lucky day out of those hundreds of days.
It's just persistence.
1 year's 365 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of those days, if you really work hard every single day, it's like you got to have that one lucky day. You don't know what's going to happen. You might get your first project.
Yeah, it only takes
Someone might give
yes.
you $100 to do one project. That is a start. But it is, a lot of it is luck. And that's the scary part. And with college, I feel like college kind of removes that feeling of risk. Yeah.
I think luck is an interesting concept.
Really? Why?
I don't know. I just think it's interesting. It's like, what even does that mean? Like, I got lucky.
I think it's just probability.
It's like, I feel like you can give yourself higher chances of being lucky by exposing yourself and like overexposing yourself to the chance of getting lucky.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But you have to be careful because you might overexpose yourself in the wrong way. I don't know. I was thinking about it from the wrong perspective, which is like betting, because like that's obviously based heavily on luck. And so if you expose yourself heavily, then you're more likely. Actually, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't bet, so I don't know how that works. I just think luck is an interesting concept.
I get what you mean. And that's what I mean by like eventually you'll have that like lucky day or whatever you want to call it. Like you'll just be at the right place at the right time.
Exactly. Yeah.
But in the meantime, it is kind of stressful to like prove to people that what you're doing is like something. But that is why you kind of just have to not give a fuck. You kind of just have to do your thing.
And that's why college decreases that risk feeling, is because when you...
No one's going to judge you.
Yeah, no one's going to judge. No, also because like it's your proof. Like it like... I studied this for 4 years.
Or I went to this school.
They wanted me. Like, here's my proof.
Exactly.
And that way, that's why it feels like it's less of a risk. But what jobs actually need like degrees though now? Because you can just have a portfolio and be like, this is what I do. Here's my actual work, not a degree that represents everything I studied for, but my work itself. So in a way, doesn't a degree like, I don't know. I don't mean less. I doubt that means less. But like, still, like, doesn't your work have to speak for itself?
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely.
I would say though, like, it is a million times easier to get a job if you have a college degree.
For connections, everything.
It's exceptionally like it's way easier. And just having that degree is just puts you miles ahead. Like there are like still jobs that they still have, like they won't even let you apply if you don't upload, like if you don't show that you have a degree.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but yeah, because I mean, again, like you said, that's actually a really good point. That like college is,
that's something you can show. You know what I mean? But that is why I'm just trying to like do as much as I can so that it's like, this is my proof, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is like showing you. I don't have to show you that I'm in this program or whatever. Like, here's my stuff.
Because you can have a degree and you can do the program and you can go for 4 years and do nothing.
And have nothing to show for it.
You know,
still.
like.
And you're at your first day at your job. And
Yeah. Like, that's the thing that sucks, is that they might be so focused heavily on the degree, but the degree doesn't even always mean that you actually are doing anything, you know,
right.
or that you've done anything. Because like, I don't know about you guys, but like for high school, for me, it wasn't really anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't say like I learned too much from high school. And then when I watched my brother graduate and they did their final presentations, we were peeping that like a lot of people like didn't actually do anything. Mm-hmm. So it's like you can go to college and get your degree, and then it's like there's no sustenance, you know. Mm-hmm. But if you don't go to college and you don't have your degree and you don't do nothing, you'll still have that like that sustenance to what you're actually doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm lucky to have, because my dad is very, very supportive of everything I do, and I'm really lucky to have that. Because I think if my dad was just like you're doing nothing, like you need to go to college, I don't think I'd be doing much. I mean, like doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah, like your personal projects. So.
Yeah, because he did tell me like, if you choose to like not return to college at all. Well, he said, first of all, he said during this break, don't treat it as a break. Treat it as like, treat it as a way to like prove that you can like, you can learn, you can teach yourself, like teach yourself during this semester. Like you have it off from college, so spend this time and learn as much as you can. And he said, but if you want to just like leave college permanently, he said he does not recommend that. But he said, if you do it, make sure you have something going already, just so you can like, you know, like sustain yourself, like pay for groceries. He said he just doesn't like the idea of me doing creative stuff on the side, and then in order to like make money, like work a retailer job or something, because he says that can also make you too comfortable. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, so Nouf, you kind of already talked about like how your family like deals with that whole college thing. Mm-hmm. So August, what about you? Like, how do your parents like think about, like, what do they think about college and stuff?
Yeah, so I have a really small family. So ultimately, the only feedback I've ever gotten is from my mother, my father, and my brother. Mm-hmm. So they fully supported my decision because they felt like it was valid for me to want to leave during this time. Mm-hmm. They said that they really want me to go back. It's ultimately up to me, but they are really recommending that I do go back to school. And the reasons for that, one of the big reasons for that my dad told me, is that you might not want to go to school and you might not want to do what you're doing in school, but it's important for you to do that uncomfortable thing because it teaches you something that might not be exactly what I'm studying. You know what I mean? Like, let's say I major in photography the whole time. I might not learn too much new things about photography, but by being in that situation that's uncomfortable, like I'll learn something about working hard, like when it's hard, you know what I mean? And just doing it and just sticking with it. But then at the same time, he was like, if you really don't want to go back, don't go back, you know? But he was like, you will get something from it no matter what.
But do you think that you could learn that skill of sometimes you have to do things even if you don't like them? Mm-hmm. Don't you think you could learn that though outside of college as well?
Absolutely. I absolutely do. But I don't know, he explained it in kind of an interesting way. Mm-hmm. he was like being put into that environment like kind of forces it onto you.
Mm-hmm.
And also just like being in the school environment in general, like being around other artists and other creatives, like he was basically like, if you have the chance, like take it, but at the same time it's up to you. So yeah, I ultimately want to go back though.
Mm-hmm. That is the one thing that I am struggling with right now, is that like it's just like that social setting. Like I just don't have that anymore. Because like
it's very specific sometimes.
Yeah, because it's not even that like I'm not around people. It's that I'm not around artists and like people my age, especially because I live in Queens and like I'm in a neighborhood where it's just like old people and like families. Like there's no college around there, so there's like the only like young people I can talk to are people at my job, and like that's it. And my friends like you guys. So I will admit, like anytime I'm like just feeling uninspired and stuff, I will go to Manhattan and just like walk around like East Village, because that's like people that are my age. So it's just like that environment does inspire me, and that's something that you don't have if you don't go to like art school or something. So I do like your dad's point though, because it sounds like from what I'm hearing is like college is valuable no matter what. Like it does give you value. Like it even if you don't enjoy it, like you will still get something from it.
If you allow yourself to.
Yeah.
You could go there and just
exactly.
Like, no, and then it would be nothing. You know,
and that's what I struggle with in school, is that I just don't participate in it.
Yeah.
So
It's
maybe that's something. Yeah, but that's the thing, is like, is it that it just doesn't serve me, or like, is it that I'm not putting enough effort into like opening myself up to it?
I don't know, because I think what your dad's talking about, number one, is a lot with discipline. And what's funny is that, sorry, I'll get back to your point in a second. But what's funny is that in high school, or like when you're in high school or middle school or any of the years before college, you're so much forced discipline, because you have to wake up at a certain time, be at school for a certain time, leave for a certain time. Like it is so enforced, and it's so ironic, because I did not learn discipline until I got to college, where I had all this free time, and now I discipline myself to go to class, to manage my time. Like I'm very time oriented, have an agenda now, which high school Nouf would have never, like, did not feel motivated to work on her things, because this discipline was so like enforced and overly like put on me. Like I felt the need to break from it, and that's why I edit until like 4 a.m. and like paint and whatever at like midnight, and like my sleep schedule, like just do whatever I wanted, and didn't get anything out of high school, just because it felt so forced, and like didn't give me room to breathe. Like I don't know, that's one thing, but we talked about that in the high school episode. For your point, if that does it serve me, or does it am I just not participating in it? I think honestly, like, number one, that's subjective obviously, so it's, I don't know, maybe you feel like you put enough into it, maybe the professor did not feel like you put enough into it. It's all subjective at the end of the day, but again, your opinion is the only one that matters. So if you feel like it's not serving you right, I understand that. And honestly, I'm slowly understanding that, because I have a class where, and it's funny because you were talking about this class like that you took in high school. I think your editing class, like, was it? Or no, it was something else, and she's like, and you're like, oh, they can't even judge my edit, because like that teacher
that was at Parsons. Yeah, that was my my time class.
Okay, yeah, I heard some people every Parsons.
My professor was a musician, and the assignment was to make a music video, and like, long story short, he didn't get the video. Like he was just very harsh on it.
Yeah. And so in my editing class now, which we're like editing videos, she has every right to say like everything. She's a teacher, and like the professor as in, but also like what we're doing now is we're all like critiquing our drafts like of a video essay that we're making. And so like everyone, like you submit your draft, and she plays it on the thing and whatever, and like any comments, feedbacks, whatever. And so like everyone gives their thing and thought, and like gives ideas and stuff. But at the same, and it's always good to look at other people's work. Like critiques are super important. But at the same time, like she would suggest some things. Can't speak English. Anyway, she would suggest some things, and I don't know, like I don't want to like
What?
call it out because then like I mean no one from my class was podcast. She just made such a like comment like was overly nitpicky like why would you use that like that woman for this thing like she's like when you wrote about the soul and like the woman looks soulless. And then the student responded like, I'll try to like use a woman with more soul. Like I was like, what am I participating in right now? Like I don't know. Like the more we critique, the more the professor gave feedback. I was like, but like I feel like if she hadn't given that feedback, maybe the creator or like the student would have went an entirely different way and it could have turned out so differently. Because the student like did have comments to say about their own work and they were like, yeah, well I feel like I could have done this and this. What if they like what if the professor gave them more room to like explore that route instead of everyone throwing ideas at each other, which is great, but like I always feel like there's something about being alone that is so important to people who create. Like it's being alone is you don't always have to. I mean, that's why collaboration exists and it's super dope and cool. Yeah. But I think there's something about working alone and like understanding self-discipline, like coming from within, and that's why I think that's how I was more disciplined, not because I was in like not because high school taught me it or anything, but I just think that concept of being alone and like working alone and disciplining yourself to do things is far more effective than people telling you to do it and forcing you to do it or throwing stuff like for you to pick up on. I don't know.
No, yeah, I totally I get it. Like when I like the first 2 weeks I think of just being here in New York and like not going to school. I didn't know what to do with myself at all. Like, I didn't know what I should be doing, like, every day. Like, I was waking up at, like, noon and, like, going to sleep at, like super late and just, like, doing nothing. Because I didn't know what to do. Like, I had no structure. Like, I had no school. Like, I had never experienced that. Like, I just didn't know. But slowly, like, I gave myself long-term projects. I set up schedules. Like, this is how much time I should spend on this day. And now I just like fell in love with that, like being that structured. Because now every single day, it's almost like a work schedule. Like I know what I'm doing from this time to this time. And it's realistic too, because that's something I struggled with a lot is like giving myself too much stuff to do on one day because it's just unrealistic. It's just not possible. Yeah. It's not healthy. It's not like time-wise, it's also not possible. Like you can't create a whole video, record a podcast in one day. You can't do that. You just can't do that. You gotta space it out. You gotta let yourself breathe. I'm sorry.
No, but yeah, I feel like you're going on the track of self-discipline, like having, like giving yourself that room to. I was gonna say something else.
We were talking about having a schedule, feeling good, having a schedule. And not having a schedule before.
I mean, well, August, what about you? Do you like having schedules and stuff?
Yeah, so I feel so good when I wake up and I write down what I'm going to do and I'm like in the notes app and I do the checkbox.
Oh, you do that too?
Yeah, and I do it and I check it off. Like, it feels great. And like, definitely giving yourself too much on your plate is like mad stressful, like not even good for your mental health. Because then at the end of the day, I'm like, damn, I didn't get done what I wanted to get done. But it wasn't even realistic in the first place.
Exactly.
So it's like, you've got to be honest with yourself about what you can do in a day, and
you gotta be easy on yourself when you can't get something done. Like you said, like that's something I'm still dealing with. Right? I struggle with that. I have to be like, so much. I think everyone, right? Like if you said you wanted to get this and this done this week, and you didn't, like you feel like shit. You're like, wow, like I'm lazy. That's for me at least. Yeah, I tell myself all these bad things, like you're lazy, like what are you doing? You're doing nothing. But then I like really look at it and I'm like, okay, well let's be real. Like that was just not possible. Yeah. Doesn't matter how much.
You have to weigh in life and like other priorities. Yeah,
and I realize like over time, like you really look at your schedule and you're like, wait, where did I set enough time to like chill out? Yeah. And like go have fun or like little other things, like you gotta also put out time for like getting food.
Yeah, literally
making food, like,
and that's one thing like that I didn't like. Just reflecting on this past month because I just like moved here in my apartment in Brooklyn, and I like moved here beginning of the month and straight up like I admit, like, I was so, and I live with my sister, so she, like, called me out for not being on top of my shit, which very fair, and I felt so guilty for it because I just didn't orient the space around me before I dived into my work. Like, I was just like, work all the time. Like, I didn't leave any space for me to prioritize, like, my living circumstance, and, like, I was setting such unrealistic, and even when neglecting all these responsibilities that have to do with my life, even when neglecting that and focusing on my work, I still got mad at myself for not getting unrealistic things done. Like, I was like, why am I mad? Like, you don't have the time for it right now.
You did your best.
Yeah, I did my best, but that's so crazy to me. Like, I got mad at myself even when, I don't know, I had to be busy. Like, it was important for me to be busy and orient my life around me before dealing with other stuff, because then how am I gonna have break time? How am I gonna take care of myself? It was just unrealistic. So yeah, I think
So August, you said something earlier that was kind of interesting. You said that you really just wanted to be in New York, right? Like, originally, like, you, because I think we had similar reasons why we even came here. Because, like, for me, it was like less about Parsons. I applied to Parsons first of all because, like, it seemed like the weirdest school to apply to, because it's just like not. It just at least it seemed like that. Like, the advertising, like, it was like it's in New York, but it's like different. It's like NYU, but like not traditional, right? Like, you get to, like, it's weird.
It's not traditional.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the mascot is a narwhal.
It has its own.
What
thing
school
going
chooses
on.
that as a mascot? It's
Hey,
with glasses now.
Syracuse is an orange, so
What?
yes, also the orange.
It's just an orange.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes.
How's that legal? Like, shouldn't it at least be an animal?
Ask my friend goes to Syracuse. Laura, you would know if you're listening, but they have an orange. So before
Laurel?
Huh?
Laurel?
Laura.
Laura. Shout out Laura.
Laura?
I heard Laurel.
I actually also have a friend called Laura. So.
Oh.
Anyway, sidetracking.
But yeah, like, for the main reason was just because I wanted to be in New York. Like, honestly, for me, it's like I don't care what college I go to. I just want to be in New York.
That's why I chose New School, because, like, even if I didn't get to NYU, I was like, I still want to be in New York, so I'm coming here.
But, like, so why did you guys want to be in New York?
Because I think you can network very easily, and, like, there's just a lot of connection to make. Everyone's ambitious, and that's also so, like, contagious. You want to do things all the time. It's fast paced. I like that. I can't be somewhere, like, I didn't like a campus. I like that the campus was a city. Like, that's what I liked about the schools I applied to here, is just that I had the city all around me. Like, I felt like there's always just something to do, something to get done. Like, I feel like also it would discipline me, like, teach me to be on time for things, teach me to manage my time. I don't know. I felt like it would put pressure on me to be, like, better.
Like, challenge you.
Yeah, challenge me.
Okay.
And that's what I wanted. I wanted to be uncomfortable. And it's really hard, and credit to anyone who moves to New York, because it's so hard the first second you get here. You feel so alone. And it feels like, I don't know, for me at least, it felt so bad. But, like, obviously as you settle, it gets better. But I don't know. I think it's a tough city, and it teaches you a lot about yourself.
August, what about you?
Ultimately, I just love New York. Like, so many artists, like, the vibe, so much love. I feel like I went to California over the summer, and I saw that over there, like, people will, like, fake put you on, but, like, in New York, I've noticed that people will really put you on. Like, people will really put you in a position to succeed. Like, I just needed to be around artists. I needed to be around creative people, and I feel like everyone knows that New York is, like, the area for that.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
Yeah. And I just like being in the city. I lived in North Carolina for 8 years in the suburbs, and, like, I always look back on that, like, I just can't go back to, like, a slow-paced area, because I'm gonna lose track of time. Like you said, I feel like I have to get something done while I'm here. Yeah. Because there's so much going on.
Because you're an ambitious person. You're an ambitious person.
Yeah, and it's like I just have to get it done. Like,
right.
Especially when you're around people who are getting it done, and that's ultimately what New York is to me. Is like, surround yourself with people who are succeeding, and that will inspire you to do the same. Yeah. I also just think it's a beautiful city. It is. Like, physically, like, it's just amazing.
The sunsets, dude.
The architecture, everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Like, I love it here, so I'm gonna stay here.
I love how each neighborhood has its own personality.
Exactly.
It's so insane. It's like, what kind of day do I want today? Like, do I want
Literally.
a Brooklyn kind of day? Do I want a, like,
Right.
Manhattan kind of day?
I love that.
Even inside Manhattan and like
Section.
well, I guess everywhere, right? Even in Brooklyn, like
Yeah.
depends where you go. So no, if you said one of the reasons why I wanted to come here is because you knew that people were really ambitious here.
Mm-hmm.
But I was gonna ask, like, do you ever hold up, my laptop's done. Do you have an outlet somewhere?
Yeah. Here, give me. I'm going to. Just put a line, actually. Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you mentioned earlier about how, like, one of the reasons why you wanted to come here was because people were like, you knew that people were really ambitious here.
Mm-hmm.
But so do you think that, I don't want this to sound like I'm calling people out, but in the spring semester, like, I'm not gonna lie, I did meet some people in my classes where sometimes, like, there is that, like, sickness of being too ambitious but not really doing anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm talking about this is because, like, I realize that that is something that, like, you know, that, like, whole like that, like, Gary V stereotype, like, work, but then people are like, but what does Gary V actually do?
You know what he does? You know what he did? He inherited a wine company from his father.
Exactly. But that's besides the point. That's, like, getting off track. But I'm just like, I just feel like, because I've reflected a lot on myself where I just, like, want to do this and that, and I talk about doing all these things, but then, like, I never actually did things. At least in high school, I did that a lot.
Me too.
So,
It's
like,
easy.
yeah, but then someone called me out on it. One of my family members, I'm not gonna call them out, but someone really close to me, and I just realized, like wow, like, I can't even be mad because they're right. Like, I'm all talk. So when I got here, it's like I didn't even want to talk about things that I was doing until they were out. I didn't like talking about things because it just felt stupid. Because, like, I don't want to be all talk and just not deliver.
Yeah.
So do you guys think you've met people like that?
I still feel like I am that. I feel
Really?
like I talk, and I don't do anything. But that's not true because I try so hard. I genuinely try so hard to, like... It gets me so heated. It gets me so heated right now. So frustrated. Like such a strong frustration because I genuinely have so much I want to do. And I still have a problem to ground myself and be realistic and honest with myself because I'm so in denial. Like, that I can't do some things. And I can't accept that I can't do some things. So I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. And then the challenge kind of, like... I don't know. I still feel like I'm like that. I feel like I haven't done everything I wanted to do. And even if it's not everything I did, like, I still feel like I haven't done enough. Like... Or at least maybe not enough to, like, put out there, or, like, not something good enough to put out there. Like, I have made stuff, but there is another, like, frustration that I feel like I'm not doing anything because it's not out there. And, like, therefore my work is invalid.
That's interesting.
So, yeah.
August, what about you?
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like, it's really easy to have ideas, and it's really easy to, I mean, for some people, it's really easy to talk about ideas. But, like, actually completing the idea can be difficult. And I think that what you were saying is super valid, is, like, to be careful about how much you speak on it. Because you can speak about it so much, you think it's already done. Because you're speaking about it like it's done.
Yeah.
But it's not actually done.
Exactly.
So it's like sometimes you do just need to, like, shut up and stay focused.
Exactly.
And not share every move that you're making.
Yes.
Because, like, it can corrode what you're doing. You know, like, other people's opinions, other people's energies. And just speaking on it. Like, it's like if you are making a plant, you won't dig up the seed every week to show people that you planted a seed. It's like you just got to plant the seed and water it, and it will grow, and people will see it when it's finished growing.
It's actually a really good analogy.
Yeah, it is.
But then at the same time, you shouldn't not ever say anything, you know, because then people will be like, who are you? Like, I forgot who you were. You know?
I mean, there are some times where I struggle with that too, actually. Like, because I feel like back then I was, like, I talked too much, but I didn't deliver. But now it's, like, almost the opposite, especially with family. Like, my dad, I just had to tell because I realized like I didn't tell them anything about what I was doing. Like, but I have so many projects right now, but they're just not out yet. So, they didn't think I was doing like anything. Like they're like, you got here, you're not going to college. Like, what are you doing? So I feel like I sent them like a private text to both my parents, like just listing them all the projects I had. And I was like, I feel like I had to tell you guys this just so you know that I'm not doing nothing. It's just that nothing's being shown yet, and I don't like talking about things because it just feels stupid, right? Like you're not showing anything. You're just.
What's crazy to me is like especially when I first met you, like I did not know you did anything. I didn't know you filmed. I didn't know anything about what you worked in, and I didn't know that it was so similar to what I did. But I'm all talk. So when like,
dude, you did not tell me anything.
I didn't.
No, you still
I did,
have things that like you say you do music. That's like something recent that you told me.
But that's like one of the first things I've been doing.
I know, but you didn't talk about that until like recently. You know what I mean?
I know, because like, well, for a good reason probably. I probably unconsciously realized like, why am I talking if I have nothing to show for? Like, who does that make me? Like, yeah, I do music and then have nothing. I still have not even shown anything. Like,
I guess talking about that's a whole other conversation. That's interesting.
So but that's funny because when I first met you, as I was saying, I did not know you did anything.
Like, what does this guy do?
Yeah, I'm like, what is your thing? And you're like, what did you say you studied?
I love that question. We will ask that. Like, what's your thing?
Yeah, no, but what did you study? What was your thing?
I was studying architecture, but I only did one semester.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow, architecture. I was like, oh, it probably like doesn't have any like side stuff. But then I started working. I was like, what the hell? I was like, what? You do all this stuff? And that's why I was like, and it blows my mind that you say you were an all talk person, because I could never, like, my point was I could never see you as an all talk person because that impression of you never came across to me. You just don't talk. You should balance it out.
No, and yeah, I talked a lot in high school.
Yeah.
Like, talk over deliver.
I feel like it's better to speak less than speak more, because it's easier to speak more, to start speaking, than it is to like withhold yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You need a balance.
Yeah.
You need the right balance because you need to like put yourself out there, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be like no one knows who you are or what you're doing.
Exactly, and
sometimes you just have to flex, and you have to show yourself off, and you have to be like, look, this is what I'm doing, this is what I did, like, you know, blah blah blah.
Be proud of your work, especially
Selling
something
yourself.
you take.
That's a whole other thing though. That's really hard to do, to be like proud of your work, to show it.
And that's funny because that's what applying for college makes you do. Like, you have to prove yourself because you want to, like, you want them to want you. And then in a way, like, I don't know, I think at least that's what college taught me. Like, my sister's like, you have to sell yourself. I'm like, what? She's like, talk about everything you do. Like, you don't, like, I was like, wow, that's important. And she's like, yeah, like, you take pictures, you do all this. I'm like, but in high school wasn't important. She's like, no, you have to, like, sell yourself. Tell them literally everything you do, and, like, they'll want you. And then that's what happened. And that's when I learned. I was like, oh, I do, like, have stuff to show for. But even though I'm still denial about it now, I don't think I have anything to show for. But
you have a lot to show. Like, you've showed me a lot of stuff that you haven't put out yet. But
have I?
Yeah, you have.
I don't know. I just feel like it's not out for a reason. It's not good. But,
so you guys think that college helps with making you feel more confident in your work?
oh, good question.
Like, do you think if you weren't in college, do you think that it'd be harder to be confident? Like, because there's not really, like, do you think college validates your work? Like, makes you feel validated more?
Yes and no. Because for me, at least, like, I thought I'd get out of it in college, and I did my first semester. Well, that was my second semester, but last semester, like, I was seeing that my work was more, like, acknowledged, but I also just feel like, because when I was in high school, I was always that kid, like, I don't know if there's that kid type of thing, but everything I said just felt wrong. Like, every idea I suggested, like, teacher didn't like it. So I was like, okay. And then sometimes I find myself now like that with my professors, where I'm like, I have a super cool idea or something, and then they're like, but I think it's super dope. Like, if I developed it, and, like, also I just have a hard time, like, putting into words what I envision. So I feel like either I'm not presenting my idea right, or they're so confused and they think I don't know what I'm talking about, because that's how I come off to a lot of people, especially with my mumbling and when I talk is very prominent. Besides the point, I feel like college did both, but I feel like it's more the environment that made me feel validated, less so than like the experience itself. That's my answer.
Okay.
I feel like it depends on your professor, ultimately. Because, like, in my first semester, we were learning about form and space, and we were making clay shapes, clay objects. And at first, like, I was not very confident, like, at all in the shapes that I was making. I was like, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, I just have the clay, I'm just cutting it up. But, like, I had a really valid professor. He was like, honestly, he was like, we're just here to learn. Like, we're just here to see what we can create.
Yeah.
And then, because he was very chill and at the same time, like, wanted us to succeed, it made me feel more confident in the shapes that I was making. Like, that's a very broad example, but, like, I think that ultimately it can make you more confident about your work if you have a good professor. Because you can have a professor that just rips your shit apart in not even a valid way,
Exactly.
And then it's just like, oh, the professor's this professional person and they don't like my work, I must be doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately they could just be annoying,
Or
Right.
projecting
some
kind of...
You gotta make that decipher. It's like, which one is it?
I did an essay in high school about how school is like really outdated. At least it was about high school though. It was like about how high school, like, classrooms are, everything about it is just super outdated. Like the way teachers teach, like their teaching techniques are just outdated.
And the things that they teach you.
And I did all this research about other teaching techniques that are proven to be successful, more successful than the current ones, but they just haven't been implemented. So one of like the most successful ones is when teachers treat students like they're equal, because humans naturally, when there's someone that's trying to teach us who like automatically makes it known that they're your superior, you're going to feel inferior to them and you're always going to feel defensive. So it's harder to learn that way because you're always in like defensive mode, or you feel like you're less than this person. So it's interesting that you said that, because in a way what you're saying is your professor was leveling himself with you, right? Mm-hmm. Like he was like we're all here to learn. And he's giving out his opinion without telling you his opinion is the only correct opinion and your opinion is completely invalid. Mm-hmm. He's just giving out his opinion, and that's out there. You can take it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all about the environment that's set, because your learning environment dictates how your learning goes 100%. Like if it's in that kind of hierarchical, I'm professor, what I say goes, like what's not my opinion is wrong, obviously you're gonna be like, okay, fuck my life. Like I literally...
Yeah, I think that's why I hated high school so much.
Same.
I always felt like I was in some kind of like ongoing battle with all of my teachers.
And the teachers I loved, like...
All my teachers hated me.
Really?
I had like 2 or 3 that like either like didn't really notice me, or like they actually like liked me, but that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the teachers I loved, I noticed, are the ones that never said, you could apply yourself more. The ones that, like, I hate that saying. It haunts me forever. Because even, like, it got ingrained into my mom, and my mom would be like, see, if, like, you're smart, like, you can do it. Just, like, you can apply yourself to school more. Because every time I did a project that I, like, got an A on, it's because it was a topic I loved. Like, I loved history class. Like, I loved social studies or whatever you called it in high school or middle school. I loved history class so much, especially U.S. history, because like, especially foreign policy, because it had a lot to do with whatever, my own background and whatever, like how it affected the outer world. But besides the point, I loved U.S. history. And so I wrote this essay about like mass incarceration and stuff. And like, I did so well on it. And then I was told that like, oh, if you applied yourself every time, but it's because I loved writing about it. And then again, I said this in like the last episode or something, but why does it make sense to apply yourself to something you don't love? Because why would you want to, I mean, I don't know. Again, it's repetition, because people who like there's a lot of people who would still force themselves to do jobs that they don't like for financial stability. But my point is like it doesn't make sense to like not be good at something you don't love. I mean, not be good. It doesn't make sense for you to force yourself to be good at something you don't like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's my
Yeah. I worded
with
that.
school, dude.
I worded that so weird. But
people were like, you should be better. Like just how you want to be really good at this thing. Like just try to be really good at school. It's like, but dude, you know how much it like pains me to like put effort into this and not this. 'Cause this is what I like, and I know that this is good, but everyone's telling me this is good. But I don't want to do this, and I just like
frustrating.
I don't know. It's a complicated world. Yeah. Well, you can check out August's work on Instagram. You want to say your Instagram?
99FLIC.
This is episode 3. I'll see you guys next time.
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being on the show. I hope you guys, stay in school, I guess, but
return
also
maybe.
Return maybe.
Just do your thing.
Do your thing.